Welcome to the Wisconsin State High School Curling Championships. With Will Brani, I'm George Hirsch, and we're set for the semifinals. In other words, the winner of this one coming up that we're going to take with you will be in the finals later this afternoon, and they are already underway. I think they are in first end, because there's nothing up on the board yet. So we're going to take this one from the onset, and it should be a good one as they're taking on Portage 2. Head coach Jim Wendling's West squad has the lead, Cole Kazanowski. Second is Ruben Matthias. Chris Kirch is their third, and the skip is Wes Wendling, Jim's son, who is a freshman at Wausau West. For Portage 2, Mike Statz, the coach. Noah John, that should be, Nick Straka, Joseph Broom, and Joe Charles make up their foursome rink. So, Will, this now gets a little tighter and a little more intense.
Oh, most certainly. The teams are all feeling the pressure now.
Well, the crowd has thinned out a little bit, because this is a situation now where we've had the elimination of the double elimination round robin. So we're in a situation now where we're down to Kettle Moraine and Portage 1 in the same semifinal, the foursome that are left. So the two Portage teams, actually, the 1 and 2 are both in the finals. They could even play each other.
They could. They definitely could.
That's a very possible scenario. For the girls team, they just finished up now, and they have their 4. So we have 8 left out of a total of 32 that started early yesterday morning. So let's pick it up as we are right now in West with the yellow rocks, Portage with the red rocks. So we'll start out with a little strategy here. Will?
Yep.
And now we are in
the
2.
second end, and West scored 5. A great way to start the game.
Holy cow. No kidding. Now, we have to keep in mind they're playing Portage 2.
They are playing their JV, who is they are an excellent JV team. There is no
they have to be where they are right now.
Yes, exactly. I believe they just have some really good players that they all can't make varsity.
Yeah. Well, Portage program, probably one of the first in the state for high schools.
They are experienced.
And this is a West duo right here of Cole Zanowski and Ruben Matthias walking down. Now setting it up for Portage. Their skip, Joe Charles. Early on, what's the goal?
They're playing a takeout game. They don't want any of Wes's or West Stones in the house. That is for sure. We can see their lead already throwing a takeout, or right here what I appear to be a tap back, where they tap back the Wes's stone.
We'll stay put, huh? Hopefully.
Well, it'll stay put, because it is very close to the button where it is drawn.
Yeah.
They want that spot.
Yeah, that would make sense, and they certainly have it heavy enough. It's just a matter of, well, now we have 2 in the house, but West has the count, but it's early.
It is early. Oh, it could all change.
Okay. Back to Cole. Kurzanowski. Takes a look down. Now he has his strategy and everything in mind. Now he does his thing like so many athletes do.
They know that this game isn't said yet. They did get 5, which is very impressive, but it isn't over. There's still great competition ahead.
Sweeps, Chris Kirsch, Ruben Matthias. Well, they bumped a little bit.
Mm-hmm. They did.
And they're still sitting pretty.
They're calling for a guard. Portage JV is calling for a guard, center guard. I wouldn't be surprised to see that guard used to bump back another stone so that way they can land on the button.
We've seen some fast ice today in our first 2 games that we've taken or watched.
Now they're going to try and get it to rest right upon that button. They're near close it.
Well, there they are. Close. Certainly puts them in a position to move forward.
And of course, West wants to take it out. They don't want to run that risk.
This is Ruben Matthias, their second. One watches the skip, the other one gets the directions, and this is heavy. But
West is still count 1.
yeah,
They're doing a draw to the button.
Now we're back to Straka. The second for Portage with his first as he lines it up. Nick Straka, Dad Mike Straka, the head coach for them.
Lining himself up there. Shoulders aligned to the skip.
Well, they get busy. Seems heavy enough for what they want to do.
Sweeping for that line.
Well, now they have the count.
They have count stone, yes.
I think you're right, Will. I think that 5-zip we looked at after the first end might a bit of a surprise when we're in the semifinals.
That was surprising to me too. But that was a great start for them to get ahead, and definitely Portage JV. They're playing catch up right now. There's no doubt about it. So, but West still needs. They still know that they need to get some more points off the board.
This is Ruben Matthias for the Warriors. They came in with 2 wins and a loss, and they clear the board.
They clear it. Count 3.
Yeah.
Button wide open.
Well, let's see. Portage 2. You don't get JV teams, second teams, and you know only programs that are solid will have 2 in a tournament of this type, because they take all the teams first, and then if there are spots available, they'll put in, you know, programs like Portage. West has 2. I think Evers probably has a couple. Splash, certainly.
Yep, they play each other. JV teams have played each other in the past for this spot.
This one's going to go out through. That's not going to help them.
That did not help them at all.
So now, West pretty much in control here. The winner moves to the finals. And it's been a while since West has been the champion. They have been in the past. A lot of these teams have been. If you go back to the start of this tournament back in the 60s, you'll have a Kettle Moraine in there somewhere. They're in the semifinals this year. Portage for sure. Partyville, Poinette, you know, the traditional.
The curling towns for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Put another one in front.
A little too heavy. Too heavy.
Yeah. Okay.
The ice is definitely warming up at this point.
And the ice is so critical. And of course they had, you know, they had the sheathing done between the second round today and this third round. So it's fresh in that respect.
Yep. It is a completely different ice than what it was this morning. They are all adjusting to it. And they can't figure it out, it appears.
Well, they haven't done it yet. They're off target, basically.
They are, both times.
And that's something, you know, if you meet after a game and talk to the teams, one of the things they're going to talk about is weight and ice and the situation and how they adjust it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's who can adjust it the quickest, really, is who does the best. And at the beginning, and West clearly seems to have that advantage in the first end. We'll see as it warms up, though. But it seems that this is an okay stone. You want a little bit of space, so that way if someone takes it out, it doesn't hit the one right behind it.
Right.
You want that little breathing room between the stones.
Well, looking at the situation now as we go into the second shot for Jason Broom, their third, this is a critical shot.
Sweeping for line. It's curling. Line and weight.
Yeah. Well, they need to get it in there. Well,
Not far enough.
No.
Not far enough.
Well, West has 2 counts right now. It's better than 4, but now we get to the couple tosses. Wes Wendling. His first rock. Skip. You can see on the scoreboard, the 1 is the end. At the end of 1, the yellow team, West, has 5 points. That's how you read it. And when they put that up before, I was a little surprised. This one seems, and this seems heavy enough, if nothing else.
Chip and roll, you know.
Oh, perfect.
That's all you can do. That's all you can do is take out the stone on a takeout.
I mean, he did what he had to do, that's for sure.
Some ask for sit and roll. I'm not quite sure what he wanted, but all you can do on a takeout is take it out.
Make your shot, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. This is Joe Charles.
Their first skip stone.
Yep. I mean, right now, West is sitting pretty up 5-zip, and they've got 4 and count in the house. But it could change. But it's up to Joe Charles.
It is. And the sweeps. They got to make sure that stone gets where it needs to be. Once it leaves his hands, it is all up to.
Well, up to the house.
Yeah.
And they didn't make it.
Up to the sweeps. Yeah.
Wow. We had in our last game an 8, which is rare. I mean, you can talk to curlers and they'll maybe remember 1 or 2 in the past in a certain situation, but you know,
it's a rarity.
Yeah.
It was a rarity.
Well, this is the last shot for Wendling now.
Clearly feeling the heat.
Well, this is the last 2 rocks here, his and then the hammer for Charles, Joe Charles. That's it. The complexion of this game could be based on those 2 rocks and the results. nice release.
Mm-hmm. Positive, nice to get it down the ice. It just needs to stop. And it looks like, it doesn't it almost seem if it's picking up speed?
Yeah, it does. But it's going to give them
It's
4.
5 in-house, but
5, yeah. Wow.
they have a lot to rest upon to be count. So,
All right. You're the skip for Portage 2. You've got the 5. How do you get rid of the most?
how do you get rid of the most? What you do? Well, all they have is 1 stone to be count, so it doesn't matter. They just
Yeah.
need to make sure that it gets closest to the button.
Right.
They have a lot to rest upon, as you can see.
Yeah.
They have plenty of options to work with. They just need to take a deep breath, and they can do it.
Well, here's that final attempt. This could make or break this whole game. Well, it's looking pretty good, actually.
It looks
It's
good.
going to do something. Right on target.
And that's count.
That's count for Portage, too.
1 point.
All right. After 2, we've got a contest now. So it is 5-1 West, but the skip for Portage 2 faced a situation where he could give up 5 points or gain 1. He only had 1 rock to do it with, and he did it.
He did it. But now they do not have the advantage of hammer. That's
Right.
that's a situation where hammer is critical.
Yeah. Well, hammer belongs to West, so that means Noah John will be the first with the release here on the delivery, with his teammates Nick Straka and Joseph Brom.
It's looking a little slow.
Yeah. Well,
But
it'll have a purpose.
It will. It will get past the hog, that black line you see right there, so it is in play.
Okay. Now we switch over to Cole. Kurzanowski. This one has the weight.
A little too much weight.
Yeah. Sweep had to make sure for Portage 2. Cole Krasnowski. That was his first rock. You can see the bleachers thinned out from prior, if you've watched prior games there, and you'll see it's thinned out because of the number of teams that remain, and now they can find a spot to sit right behind their team.
Indeed.
That's what they do.
You see the empty sheets with no one behind because
Yeah.
there's no need. No one playing.
Okay. Couple of them out in front. They're still adjusting to the ice, aren't they?
Oh, clearly.
I mean, one is long through the house, too much, and not that where West or Portage has put them, that it's not maybe what they wanted for the first 2. This is Kurzanowski. For West, a second. This could be anything once it's in there.
They want to get it behind those guards that were set up by the other team, and that cannot stay there. So Portage too they need to take that out.
Well, I don't know. They must feel good about what they just did. Is threesome for West. This is the second now for Portage too. Nick Straka. One of the things about high school curling too that I've picked up on is some of these curled since they were 5, 6 years old.
Oh,
and some take it up when they get in high school.
Yep, that's a great part of the sport, is that you can pick it up knowing nothing. You don't have to. They'll teach you all you need to know.
Well, they didn't teach you that though. That was heavy.
Oh yeah, that was offline.
Ruben Matthias with his first. West leads 5-1 in N3, but yet they have the hammer, so they're in pretty good shape early on here.
They are.
This first third. Matthias with the release.
See the release. See, it's too light. They're sweeping way before, but as you can see by them. I think it'll get past, but they just need to make sure it is where it needs to be.
Yeah,
for sure. They might do a tap back so it acts as a guard.
Okay. Well,
they pushed it in closer to the
little bit, but
upper guards.
Yeah, it did. Concentration, focus.
Second, Noah Straka throwing the stone right now. Yep. Skip's communication is so important in curling.
This is heavy. Let's see. It looks like it's going to do some damage.
And that it did. That was an excellent shot.
Yeah, you could see it coming. You knew it had plenty of weight if it had something to take out, and it did.
And that's where Skip's communication came in. They had one sweeping instead of two to make sure that wasn't too much or too little. Communication is key.
Okay, now we go back to Wendland, the skip. Second for Ruben Matthias. West wears their jackets, their West logo jackets. Some of the boys' teams do. Most of the girls have uniforms with one shape or another. Well,
it exposed it.
Yeah. We still have a couple up front. But
those double takeouts, they either go good or go bad. There's no in between.
We've got a girls semifinal going right down in front of us here as we take a look at things. We have to pay attention to the monitor. That's where the action is for us because they're over on sheet number 2. And we're sitting behind sheet 7 on the other end. That's our vantage point, but we're comfortable.
That we are. Trying to guard it up, make sure that they can't get at that stone.
This is Jason Brom.
But the ice it's not slowing down in the house. They need to get a hold of the fact.
It's in the house, but...
It's in the house, but it didn't do what they needed it to.
No. Okay. Now we go back to West. And Chris Kirsch. second shot. This is heavy, heavy, heavy. Took a guard out, basically.
Now they're just going to put one back up. They're just trying to open it up so that way they can get out. Now at this point it's select to make sure that they continue their heavy streak, which they've been keeping up with so far. They threw it light, which is what they needed to do. It's good.
Okay, now we move to the last yellow for Chris Kirsch. The second rock.
That did not do what they wanted it to.
No.
Did not curl in enough? It did not.
No. Now there's two in the house. 2 count for Portage 2. And the skip. Set. Again, West has the hammer here. And this is Joe Charles. The skip.
That's all right, Sam.
Moving down the sheet with plenty of momentum.
This is already early in this contest. Third end. This is going to be very, very, very important. Well, they've got a situation where the 4 foot is wide open, though.
It is. It is. And West having the hammer. That's.
Yep. Skip. Wes Wendland, freshman. He nods in agreement. Like, yeah, I know what to do. I just need to do it now.
Exactly.
You can see the West fans right behind him, the Portage fans. Some of them are right over here with the girls, because they've got girls and boys both going on here. Portage in the semifinals. It's been a good tournament for the Portage team.
It has. It has.
Rinks. This will take out at least one. Yeah, which is exactly what happened. And now they're down to 1 as Joe Charles gets set for his final rock. 1 count for Portage. What they've just done is eliminate the big scoring end for either team, really.
Yes. It will be minimal. The score will be small for either team.
This is Charles, Joe Charles. Looks like he's setting up a guard of some sort. Well, it's not really. Not really.
Wes Wendling and Chris Kirsch arguing about what to do.
They're both young, aren't they? For
They are.
curlers, both of them.
They have been curling for a very long time, though,
Yeah.
compared to some high school kids who are here today, you know, who learned just in high school, picked it up.
Yeah.
Both well known at the Wausau Curling Club.
I would guess so. This is the final shot. This is the hammer for West. Right now, Portage 2 has one count. They're down 5-1. This is N3 of 8, semifinal. The other semi has Kettle Moraine and Portage 1.
Moving down with quite some speed.
Well, it's all on direction now because it's certainly got the weight.
They're trying to bump up their stone into the button.
Yeah.
We'll see if it'll do it.
Well,
And it needs to stop.
and it does, and they get one.
They get 1 point. 1 point for Wausau West.
After 3, it is 6-1 West. Come out with the last stone again for a point. And that means the hammer goes over to Portage, but the disadvantage is 5. And we're a third through. Beyond that, actually, with 8 ends. Where'd they come up with 8 ends?
8 ends, it's just customary. It's universal, like in the world of curling.
Okay.
Some do more ends or some do less, but it's just it's a time stop because they account for 15 minutes for each end.
Okay.
So it rounds to 2 hours.
All right. That kind of makes sense. You know, and this game started in Scotland and very similar to shuffleboard and bowl. And I've been in Scotland and watch in the summertime bowls on grass, and of course it's a ball, it's a round ball that they play with, but it's very, very similar. You know, the closest to the button and that kind of thing. And then the Canadians picked it up from Scotland because a lot of them migrated to the north from this continent, and then from Canada came more into the States and into the northern states like Wisconsin, Minnesota, so forth. So we start N4 with a West Stone from Cole Krasanoski. And here's the first one for Noah John. First stone, Krasanoski. And they need to get across the hog line for it to be in play. And they accomplish that much. And in curling, it is a sport where they police themselves, if you want to put it that way. No referee, stripes out on the ice. No coach on the ice. They have one timeout each for the team, and that can be at any time. They have one timeout per team in a match for the coach, and that has to be between ends.
It's all on the students here, all on the teammates. Trusting one each other and using their skills that they have accumulated through practice.
And this is a little bit heavy.
Through the house.
On its way out, yeah. So that second rock there for Krasnowski. And the lead, Noah John, with his second coming up. Pretty much wide open. One little guard out in front, but that's out by the hammer, or not the hammer, the hog line, just in play. But it can be a factor.
Oh, it can.
Well, they're going to sweep early and hard. They will reach the hog line like the other one, but not the house, probably. They're getting as much out of it as they can.
They want it to bump so that way it spreads the two apart a little bit, becomes more useful, but it just didn't have enough.
Yeah. Ruben Matthias, the second for the Warriors. When you have a facility like this, and it's probably as good as any in the
entire world,
and you've got your high school teams that can practice here from the area, and they do, you should have a pretty good program. Especially with all the adults' families. It's a family thing, curling, you know, generations.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Plays a big history into here. As you can see, plaques around showing families who have donated various things because curling is such a big part of their history as a family.
Right. Yeah, and this is a dream come true for curlers in Wausau, no doubt about that. They had this in mind for years.
Oh, from
coming out of Marathon Park.
Yeah, they were in a barn, basically, a glorified barn that had a clubhouse.
Well, they call it a barn, curling barn.
Yeah. Had to clean it from the animals that used it at the summertime fair.
Right. Exactly. Uh-huh.
And the biggest thing here was they had so many issues with the ice. And the last year, in the middle of the whole sheet, the ice it melted and it created a bubble.
Oh boy.
So they couldn't use that one sheet. So here the technology is so sophisticated.
Well, and they have the same people that handle it from year to year. I mean, these dedicated folks that take care of the ice.
Ice is so complicated. Underneath the ice, there are many pipes, you know, regulating the temperature. It's a complex process.
So it is state of the art, no doubt. This is the Portage rock for Nick Straka. And
splitting the guards a little bit.
Creating a barrier for the house.
Small port, a rock could fit through, but I would not risk it. That is
but you can also raise to get it in, I suppose, huh?
You definitely could.
But we'll see what their strategy is for West as they go to.
Raising is a hard thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the angle, the speed. It has all those factors involved in the raise. A draw, a little bit different.
Most certainly.
Okay. Let's see what we come up with here for West.
We have heavyweight.
Ruben Matthias.
Needs it to curl in.
Well, that eliminates a couple.
One that didn't quite cross the line, but almost useless right there.
Well, it adds to the picture, and that's about it. There's no value in that.
No, none.
Now back to
here they are
Straka.
trying to raise.
Yeah, Straka is their second. They have the hammer. They being Portage, 2. Down 6-1 and then 4.
Sweeping for what seems to be weight and line.
That's not going to be able to.
That was not the shot that they wanted.
No.
definitely needed more weight.
For West now, we go to the third. Chris Kirsch. Might be a Scottish sport originally in Scotland, but there are a lot of Germans that are involved in the state of Wisconsin. You know, you look at all the rosters on the 32 teams, they all have some Irish, German, a little bit of everything. Kirsch happens to mean cherry in German. And we have on the same team, we have a Brzezinski, Polish ancestry.
No, with the hundreds of members here at the club.
Yeah.
Got people from around the world here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a, I mean, it's for girls, boys, men, women, couples, co-ed, age. They have wheelchair leagues, you know, any age can participate. This one might be a little bit heavy.
Going to sail through, yep.
A little heavy. So now we go back to John Brom. Correction, we were told by the coach that helped us out that it's John Brom is their third.
The Rock is cruising down the ice. Trying to do the same thing as West.
And it's going to sneak through.
Sneak through. Now it's just a matter of it slowing down. And it
Boy, what
did.
a nice shot.
That
what
was
a nice
good
shot. Look at the size of that port. I mean, to sneak through there is near perfection. And then to have it in a place where it is with all those out in front.
If I was Portage, I'd be smiling right now with that shot. That
Yeah. Yes. This is Chris Kirsch with his second. He's going to cause something to happen here. Look at this.
Close. Look at
this.
To bump.
Look at that.
Beautiful.
Wow. To get it through that port, to get the angle through and do what he did, you couldn't ask for more.
You could not.
And that gives West the count now as well.
Again, they're not looking for points too much at this point. They're looking to keep those points.
Well, keep them and also keep the other team from getting points.
Exactly.
Playing a little defensively that way.
Exactly.
You know, they can give them one or two and take the hammer as they go along. Because after this end, we'll be halfway through contest.
If they want to get through that port, they better be sweeping hard. You can see that thing veering across the center line. And it isn't going to do it.
Well, no. It does open things up a little bit, but
I would place a guard.
West getting set up.
Yep. Oh, they're going to bump because that way, in case if they're a little too heavy, this is the means of looking at, but they're still evaluating what they can do.
Now, when they walk around in, you know, among the rocks, what happens if they touch one?
The opposing skip can place it anywhere they want, and this is where the integrity of curling comes in, because they can place it. They should place it
back where it was.
But they do not have to.
Okay. All right. Again, they're policing themselves. No referee.
Exactly. No No one to tell them it's wrong, but except
Yeah.
their conscience.
Right. Which for curlers is probably a strong factor.
It is. If you look in the locker room, we have right in the middle of the board, it just says the spirit of a curler. And it's all about that. It's all about being honest and truthful.
Mhm. Well, the skip is ready. His first shot. Portage 2 has a hammer. West has the lead, 6-1 after 3. And West has a count sitting in there. Right near the button. The third, the vice skip, Chris Kirsch, setting the strategy.
Seems okay.
Yeah.
They need to make sure it's there and not too far. They just want it to crash and roll just a little bit, but they need to make sure that it can do that and doesn't sit there. Helps a little bit.
It's getting crowded. And they've got the button rock. So the challenge is there now. See what Portage 2 decides to do. Joe Charles, their skip, with his first rock coming up, talking it over with his teammates.
That port looks dangerously close.
Yeah. We did see in a prior game, maybe the first one today, where the last, no, I know what it was, the final yesterday, the last one, where the last rock turned out to be the game winner, and it didn't do anything that they had planned. It just pushed things around to just finish up with a point.
It's luck. It's luck. It's making the best. If it's a missed shot, it's always the skip or, you know, the vice skip, evaluating right then and there. Hey, what can I make of this? What should I have my sweepers do? It's constant.
This one looks like it's heavy enough to
do some damage.
Yep.
Ooh, that did not do the damage that they wanted it to.
No. Nope. Well, we're getting down to the last rock here for Wes Wendling. He and Chris Kirsch talk it over. And again, there's no time limit. And he'll scoot down the other end. Set up the hack and see what we can do. Again, West is up 6-1 after 3. This is end 4 coming to a close and critical. If Portage wants to stay within shooting range, they can't give up too many more. Maybe one. Maybe about it. Because they've played very good. Up to this point, West has done a nice job of finishing.
They have.
Communication by sound, motion.
Adjusting the broom so that way it's right where he wants it for his takeout.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes you think it's right there when you're in the house, but when you get back to the hack, you're like, that isn't going to work.
Well, that's a distance factor too from where they are on the ice. The length of this rink, what is it in feet?
Oh, I'm not 110% sure.
Okay, I think it's in the 90 range somewhere. But well, what that does now is puts West up with a count, with the guards all over the place, which makes it for Joe Charles here very, very difficult. He's talking to his teammates because where do you go with this?
Exactly. Yeah, talking with Joe Brom there, evaluating his options.
There aren't many good ones.
Oh no, no.
No, because that one rock, the count, is in the button area. It's in the 4-foot area, and it's surrounded heading in by some red rocks, some yellow rocks.
They can't even do a raise because the ones that they'd use are west.
Yeah. They would have to use west.
That's just not feasible.
Well, here's the other factor. They're down 6-1. Do you just not take a chance on losing more than one and getting the hammer?
Yeah, that's exactly another thing that people need to think about, because that's a strategy. That is a strategy that is used quite a bit.
I mean, if he just tosses the rock down,
throws it through or hogs it?
Yeah, or hogs it or whatever, West gets one. But if he gets into this mess, this scrum or whatever you want to call it outside, you know, so many weird things can happen, and West could come up with 3. When you look at it, they've got 4 rocks that are inside those 2 red.
They're doing a takeout, and they are chasing it down the sheet.
Yeah, yeah.
Sweeping for line.
Sweeping for luck. Well, they get it through the house, so it really, yeah, okay. I was kind of playing it safe in a way. So it's 1 count for West in end 4, so now it's 7-1. And they will move on.
Keeping the hammer.
They have the hammer. They can come back. They have 4 ends to get back within, you know, get 6. Of course, if West can do it, 5 in the first, they have to believe they can do it.
They have shown that they can do this. For sure.
They're in the semifinals for a reason.
Oh, exactly.
And that is they've done some good things in their first 3 matchups.
Coaches meeting has been called.
Yeah. So we're heading to the second half of this one. One of the things that, you know, if you're going to get into curling, it has its own terminology. I mean, there are so many terms that are unique to curling. They may be coming from another source, but, you know, like port, for instance, as an example. Unique, you know, or hurry rock or burning a rock, which we saw, you know, in the last game.
And that, again, that comes down to, if you burn a rock, it's the integrity of curling to say you burned it, or not move a rock on purpose. Because that really does take the fun out when, you know, people try to cheat like that. That takes the fun out of curling.
Well, that's the biggest factor, because it's a trust issue, and it's a family kind of a values issue.
Do we?
Yep. Well, it looks like Jim Wendling, who's a coach for West, he's taking his time, taking up now the Portage group. And we're going to go down and get started for end number 5 after the timeout. Now, was that a team coach timeout or players, do you think?
I'm sure it was either a coach for Portage. Most certainly it wasn't called by West, because they need to keep up what they're keeping up, playing this defensive game. But I believe it probably was called by a coach.
Okay.
Because the students, when the students call it, or the players, what they do is, it's usually when they're faced with a challenging shot and they want to have the coach's opinion on how to make that shot.
Okay. Here's the lead for Portage 2. When we say 2, that means JV, second team. They have a varsity and a JV team in the tournament, and there are about 5 or 6 of them with bigger, stronger programs. Portage happens to be one of them.
Yes.
And Portage was one of the initial curling communities in the state of Wisconsin. Partyville, Poynette, Portage. Those three.
Both have strong high school, you know, participation in them. You can see Chris Kirsch putting up the score for the fourth end. Wausau West has 7, and they are now in the 5th end.
Actually, I believe Poynette was the location for the very first state high school championships. I did take a look at some history and prior winners, and there's got to be at least a dozen different schools that have won these championships.
Well, there's a list of them that goes back, you know, like you said, to the 60s.
Yeah. Well, I know in the 50s, too, I know that they had high school teams and a state tournament based on older cousins who were curlers and that kind of thing. I think the curlers, this is not a WIAA sport, so the curlers, they maybe have a little more fun at these state tournaments than some some competitions.
Definitely. Again, like this team, they'll meet together in the club room to have dinner together, talk about it, and just talk about, you know, things in life, not necessarily all curling, just to, you know, bond friendships and all that. It's customary to do, you know, anytime, whether it's curlers just within the club or curlers from away.
This is Cole. Here's Zanoski. Second shot.
A little heavy. Gonna push it back so it's a guard.
Raise it in, but he's got a guard and in the 4-foot concentric circle. Well, if Portage 2 wants to stage a comeback, they got to start this end. Otherwise, it's going to be a real uphill battle. They are sweeping heavy on the Brum. Just to get across the hog line, I guess.
And it made it. It did make it just across.
It's there.
Probably by an inch, but
it's there. Okay. Now we go to the seconds. And we go with Ruben Matthias, the second for West. They already have a couple of rocks in count. Working hard to make sure they get it in the house. They'd be happy with a guard there.
Again, spreading it out so that way.
Yep.
It works. He signaled that it does work, so.
You see that line like that on occasion? Once they get one in, then they get two. It's like, okay, they're going to try to do this. They're going to try to get a guard. And so you've got a trio lined up. What it does, it puts Portage, Nick Straka now up their second, with a challenge. This one's a heavy one, so if it gets all the way through, which it will, it could help them out a little bit.
And it did.
It did. Okay, well, there you go. I mean, that was a nice shot.
It prevented them from getting 3 for sure. I mean, they did guard the first, but.
Yeah, that was a nice shot. Back to Ruben second, conferring with his teammate Chris Kirsch on the left. Cole Krasanoski on the right as we view things as we look at the bleachers. Thinned out for the semifinals. We've gone down from 32 teams, 16 girls, 16 boys, down to a total of 8. Finals to follow. Okay, here we go.
Going down the ice with some power.
Yeah, that's going to.
Trying to bump theirs up, I think, a little bit, or if that's what it's going to do.
Yeah,
Yep.
and exactly what they wanted.
It's good. Gives them some space for a guard. So if they do attack the stone, odds are it won't hit theirs on the forefoot, the blue circle.
Okay, now what Portage needs to do is they got to make something happen. This is next Straka. We've got the hammer, so they need it. This one is heavy. Depends upon what the angle it hits. Well, interesting.
It's wide open.
Wide open is right, and right now the count is West 1. No. Yeah, West 1, but not a guard. This is one way to look at it right there. And look at that that red one out by the hog line. All of a sudden it shows up.
Mm-hmm. They do. They do. It's very important that when you throw a guard, it gets at least past the hog. Otherwise, it's useless. You know, it was a wasted stone.
This is Chris Kirsch. They're third with his first throw. And this one looks like it's heavy enough. Sneaks through. It's probably going to go, well.
Tap theirs in just a tiny bit.
Yeah, but no damage. No damage. It's got a bite down the 12 foot, so it's there.
Portage having count now.
Okay. John Brom.
They looked at their time because they timed their rocks with timers, as you can see. And immediately they jumped on it, but maybe it had a positive release and they appeared that it didn't need it, trying to clog up that port there.
When they clear the ice and take care of the ice prior to competition, they use a clock, stopwatch a lot to kind of figure out where it's at. And there are parameters.
Exactly.
Okay. Wendland looking it over as Chris Kirsch set for his second throw. They're in a great position. They're up 7-1. We're in N5 semifinal. The winner goes to the final to take on either Kettle Moraine or Portage 1. Both Portage boys teams are out here in the semifinals. They could play each other.
They could.
But right now, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. That could change. There's the release by Chris. They want to get it in there. It's got a little bit of a curl, but it's going to sneak through.
Sweep to get it biting.
Yeah. Okay.
It's biting.
Well, right now, Portage has one count.
They have one right now.
And they have the hammer. They could use 2 or 3.
Oh, they could. They need 2 or 3.
Yeah. You could see Chris Kirsch putting on the grip.
Trying to go through the port, make a draw. I'm sure to the forefoot. They want it all on the forefoot, the blue.
Okay, this is John Brom. Looks like a nice release. So far, well, a little bit of a one broom, but not much.
Maybe it was a little wide. I think that's their biggest fear.
Trying to curl it back in.
A little push.
Yeah. It's doing that, but it's not heavy enough.
Not heavy enough, no.
Okay.
Still a port, still a sizable port, actually.
Yeah. Well, remember the last end, how narrow that port was? And
They took full advantage of it still.
they did, yeah. Yeah. With Will Brainy, I'm George Hirsch. Hope you're enjoying our broadcast of the high school state of Wisconsin curling championship. 16 teams started out, boys and girls. And we're down in the semifinals now with the finals to follow. And we will have one of those, either the boys or the girls, coming up for you. In fact, when they get in the finals, there are two games going on at one time. We might even be able to switch back and forth a little bit. Time will tell.
Wesley Wenling calling for a hit and roll. Sweeping for line. Making sure it clears that guard.
It is going to clear. Depends upon what it does with his partner.
And it rolls right behind.
Nice.
Excellent shot by
Nice.
Wesley Wenling.
Yeah, there's one now.
Right on the forefoot.
Yeah, that was a nice. Now.
He's staring intently, trying to see exactly what Wesley was doing, but.
Yeah. Joe Charles with his first rock. Options there. Sharing them with his teammates. Trying to describe what they want to do. Communication a key.
Trying to figure out what to do with all those guards up there.
Yeah, and I'm not sure.
You see, that's where that.
Even that one out in front.
That is influencing their decisions for sure.
Okay. Decision made.
Calling for a double take. The red to tap into the yellow and take out the yellow, leaving the red on the forefoot. Again, this is where weight and angles are of the utmost importance.
Well, they have, a rock each after this, so this is not the last rock. Not the last toss.
Portage, you hear hammer being a big advantage.
Here they need enough weight.
And it seems to be flying down the sheet.
Yeah, yeah. Depends upon the curl a little bit. If it probably doesn't have any right now. Well, interesting. Huh. Didn't do anything.
Not much there, no.
No.
And
But
double
they each have
takeouts
one.
are difficult.
Yeah, very. And that one, they were concerned a little bit, I think, about the weight, speed, and
It was off. It was off.
And it was fast, so it didn't curl as much. A little more straight. Didn't come back like they wanted it to.
No.
Well, this is the last one now for Skip West. Wendling.
Very defensive strategy right now for sure.
You can see the scoreboard in the background. West with, they're the yellow, and they have 4 ends were completed. 4 were in 5, and they have a 7 above that 4. So West's score right now is 7. On the top in the red, you would see that Portage has 1, and that was in the second end. So it'd be above the, 2 above the 1.
Exactly. The tag representing what end that score was in.
Timeout. Did they call a timeout?
I believe West called the timeout.
Well, look that way. And this is their prerogative, and it's the player's prerogative with their coach, not the coach's call. So we do.
Jim Wendling will be out to the ice very shortly.
Yeah. Wendling and then Mike Stats for Portage 2. Just getting you a little bit up to date on this tournament right now. We're back to semifinals, and in the boys competition, West leading here in our coverage 7-1 over Portage 2, which is the JV squad. Portage 1 is taking on Kettle Moraine in the other semifinal. So the winners of these two contests will play in the final later this afternoon. In the girls competition, Portage also has a team out of the 4 in the semifinals. So Portage could have 3 teams in the finals. No, 2 teams in the finals, unless they play each other, and that's a possibility for the boys, but doesn't look that way right now with our score here 7-1.
No, and for Portage 1, their score is 6-1, and they're not on the positive end of that spectrum.
Okay, okay. So. All right. They're on a different sheet. I think they're on number 6. Again, this is a beautiful facility. You know, you sit in the bleachers and nice chair.
Yeah, I was going to say bleachers, whenever they call them the bleachers, they're theater chairs is what they really are.
Yeah,
so bleachers
right.
is belittling to them, I think.
Yeah, right. Grandstand. No, I don't know. But anyway,
yeah.
You know, the folks are intently watching. We've got
to the corner there, you could see Coach Jim Wendling of West.
Yeah.
Clearly have made their decision about what to do, where to hold the broom.
Yeah, we've got 4 games going on right now on the 8 sheets of ice. And then we'll finish up with 2 games going on in the championship, boys and girls. Okay. Now we're back in action after the timeout. And Chris Kirsch, the vice skip, the 3rd for West. And they're yellow rocks. They've made the decision, and Wes Wendling will make his final toss here. And here he comes on the delivery. He's down on his haunches, trying to get a good, clear view of what's happening. Can't do much about it right now, but it's coming through. And
right now they are count 2.
Yeah.
West.
Yeah. So if they get these 2, we're talking 9-1. We're talking close to finish.
Yes. But as you can see, those 2 red stones up there, excellent for double take.
Right. They have the option, or I should say they have the opportunity here to counter. But you got to make the shot.
Got to make the shot. Make your shots, you're doing great.
Well, that's true in a lot of sports, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Got to make the shot. Well, he's adjusting the rock in his grip.
He's seeing if he can see the rock from the hack.
Yeah, yeah.
Make sure it's feasible. And he slides out.
There we are. This could be it.
And it is narrow, so they are sweeping to prevent it from really crossing.
The sweeping is helping, I think, a little bit, but they got to get by this guy, and they don't.
And they don't. They
so
don't.
That's 2.
That would be 2
for West.
Yellow for West.
Now it's 9-1. Now it's time to talk about it. And again, you know, it's the players on the ice who make a decision.
Mm-hmm. They decide if they will shake on the game. Or
yeah. That's their decision. And well, what did they decide?
they're going for it.
They are going for it.
They are
Okay.
entering the 6th end.
Yep, yep. So we're going to a sixth end.
9-1.
Yeah,
Wausau
9-1 West. Well, mathematically, they can do it
Oh, they can do it.
with
yes.
3 ends. But when you look at the picture after 5 ends and what's happened, it would be a real turnaround.
You could do it in one end. You could tie.
Yeah,
But
we saw that in the last game.
yes,
8
an 8-ender.
8-ender, yeah. I don't think West is going to give that up, though.
I don't think they are either. Nowhere close.
They play, they can play aggressively. They can play defense. You know, they're a well-rounded team. That's why they're in the semifinals.
They have shown that. Yes, absolutely.
Well, the only thing is Portage and Red, they still have the hammer. And this is the first toss for Cole Kozanowski. Okay. Z-R-A-N-S.
A guard that was too heavy.
Yeah, too heavy, and it's going to go.
Not quite through, sitting on the 12.
Yep. On the back end.
Lining himself up, shoulders aligned.
Noah John. And the release. Somebody did something. There's a shaking hands, right? What is that, a 9 to?
Even higher.
Yeah,
A 12.
12.
12-1
Wow. Wow. In a semifinal.
in a semifinal. Clearly the winner there.
Yeah. Well, we've got a red one out in front. And the 1 or 2, and then we've got the yellow one in the back end. Has a count right now. The release, Noah John.
Twelve to 1. Lodi getting 12. Stevens Point 1.
Wow, I don't think Spash has been beaten like that in forever.
Lodi is another one of those curling
Oh, yeah.
towns.
Yeah, it is on the other side of 94,
Mm-hmm.
north of Madison. Lodi probably has, what, 500-600 in their high school. Spash is the second largest in the state, probably around 2,500. At least at one time. I don't know what it is now, but
Still a very large school.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The Wausau area is divided into 3, so not so much.
Mm-hmm.
That's East, West, and DC Everest taking the lower half
Right.
neighborhoods.
So Lodi girls are in the final.
Making sure that this rock crosses the the hog. It's vital into the house, preferably. Trying to get it past that count stone. Is it possible? No.
Nope. Nope.
Wausau West, count 1.
And since Portage has had the hammer, not that they wanted, all the way through pretty much, except one. You can see they've been outscored 9-1. And this is N6.
Sweeping that takeout for a line. And it does it.
It does it. Okay, so now
Wow.
a couple for Portage sitting in there. Count.
Can see Chris Kirsch smiling about that
Or
one.
West, I should say. Yeah, Chris Kirsch enjoyed that one. West has 2 count now.
Takeout on this center stone here. Skip Joe Charles is calling for. Heading down the ice with some force. Sweeping there because it needs to curl. Didn't curl quite so much as I thought.
No. Nope.
But a wide open stone doesn't do you very much good. So.
And it is open. Probably as much as any end in this game so far at this stage. One of these teams is a count one as we continue on here with Ruben Matthias, I'm sorry. And they go back to 2 count, 3 count now.
3 count.
They're in charge.
They are in charge. They have certainly shown their dominance here.
I mean, they just, when they need a shot, they make it. Their strategy seems to be on target. You know, it's just the other team hasn't had a really, they don't let them get off the floor, really. When you take a 5-1 lead after the first end, that gives you enough confidence to move on, and momentum is certainly in your favor.
And one thing that's good is that they did not take that as, hey, we can calm down now.
No.
They have been really giving their all this whole game.
Well, there's now 2 rocks in the house, but we move on.
It has guarded that back one.
Yeah. This is Nick Straka with his second shot.
They'd rather have 2 with 1 being a guard versus 3 wide open. That is for sure.
Yeah.
A little disagreement here with his teammates.
Okay. Decision made? Not yet. All right, now Wes has it set up. And his teammates ready to go.
For draw behind that red there. Using their stone as a guard.
Chris Kirsch, their third. With a nice release.
Making sure it passes. It needs to curl.
It is.
A little heavy.
Yeah.
Oh, not too bad. No, not as bad. That one did slow down.
Yeah.
Before the big scrape, we've been seeing stones fly through that house, not seeming to stop at all.
Yeah. Not as much broom work today, I don't think, as yesterday in the games we did yesterday.
Again, a perfect stone is swept 25% of the way for that accuracy, but sometimes it's not needed, and that's good on the sweeps for sure.
Well, this is...
And they are sweeping that stone. We jinxed them a little bit. Trying to get it across that hog.
John Braum. Across the hog, and there it sits. Does that have value for them? No. Because West has 3 count.
And it didn't do a ton, that's for sure.
Well, let's see what they can.
Again, guarding.
And Chris Kirsch with his first throw.
Very defensive
Completed.
game.
Yeah.
Very defensive.
Yeah, it really is. There's his second. Well, he shows focus, doesn't he?
He does. He plays U18 with Wes Wendling.
Okay.
So they've been curling for quite a long time.
Okay. Have they tried nationals yet or not?
They have.
Oh, okay. Well, they have to be curlers.
Or U21.
Yeah, or U21. Either one of those.
I don't know which one they attended nationals at.
Yeah. But that's if you're a curler and you are serious about it, that is a goal for some of them.
Oh, it is definitely for curlers.
Now they've got 4 in the house. Last shot for John Braum. We're looking at a handshake here if things don't change in a hurry. And it's surprising that, 12-1 in a semifinal. The girls, and now the boys here are looking at something similar unless, well, he's going to get one. He's going to be, well, they got 1 for red now. So that was a good shot. That was a good shot. 1 for red. And they've got the hammer. Okay. The crowd enthusiasm you just heard is off of sheet number 7. Girls competition.
Portage won in Mosinee. It's 6-2. Portage taking the lead.
Yeah, see, we could have Portage, girls and boys, 1 team in the finals from each school. So there's one game semifinal over for girls. And the Portage coach is out there because they just called a timeout. Okay.
You see Wesley Wendling using a stabilizer instead of a broom. It's just an option. Anyone can choose it. There are people at Nationals using a stabilizer too. It doesn't mean one thing over another.
It's choice.
It's just preference. I use a stabilizer.
I would think when they first start curling, that would be something that they would help.
It does, but you really don't want to put weight on the stone. That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Well,
moving that stone out of the way.
So now West has
2.
West has 2. Last rock for Joe Charles. His first of 2. Skips deciding this one now.
Focusing.
And in the house, and now they're at 1. And that one has a competitor rock right in front of it as a guard, not what they want to have there, but for Portage, but that's the situation. Last rock coming up for West, Wendling. Skip for West.
Definitely going to need to guard that, no doubt about that.
Well, talking it over. Here he comes.
Doing a double take, I believe. Or it could be just a wide cold guard just to make sure, but we'll see how fast he pushes out of that hack.
Talking to his teammate, Ruben Mathias. Everything in the back end. So there's, there are possibilities for both of these skips.
And we've noticed that they've had a good front end here on Wausau West, which explains why their back end is doing so good. The front end, I think, is often overlooked.
Yeah.
Because if they don't set up a good house, there aren't going to be good stones coming in the latter half.
Well, they're going to go through. Okay. So they've got 1. They're up 9-1. And Joe Charles, the skip for Portage 2, heading in our direction here. Now turning around and discussing with his vice skip, his third, John Braum. They are in a situation where you know, they don't have enough in there to really count much. They could maybe get 2, maybe, or give up 1. So
if they take this out, they could get 3. Or
yeah, they could if they kick this one out totally, and that would just be a takeout, right?
That would be a takeout. They try to chip it there on the skip side, trying to shoot it way out there into the other yellow.
Okay, because the other 2 red are closer to the button.
They are.
Well, here we go.
Checking line, making sure it's good. Possibly needs to curl in more.
Oh, no, well, it's going to get by.
It's going to get by. It has
See
quite a
what
bit
it
of weight.
does.
I don't know if it has enough.
Well,
I don't.
nope.
Not enough to make it. It's 1 red.
1 red. So now we're at 9-2 after 6. So.
Not enough weight to get it what they wanted.
No. Well, 9-2. What do? We've got 6 in, maybe 2 more, maybe 1 more, maybe. Well, they're talking it over, aren't they? They're discussing it. 9-2 after 6 ends. They're down, you know, and they've never been ahead. They were down 5-1 after the first end, so.
No, they're showing a very slow comeback.
Well, they've only scored 2 in 5. How are they going to get
hard
8,
to call it a
7,
comeback?
Get 7 and 2. That's the issue. They got way behind 5-1 in the first. That really, it's a big factor. Well, now they're talking it over. Still haven't decided. We'll see.
And they shake.
They shake. Okay. So that semifinal is history. Wausau West, a winner over Portage 2, the Portage JVs in the semifinal here, by a score of 9-2. We have one more contest, a final, coming up for you on Wausau Area Access Media with Will Barani. I'm George Hirsch. Hope you enjoyed our broadcast. Until the next one, take care.